All right, welcome, SeniorFit Wellness Fall Prevention. As you guys can read, staying safe and independent. So the key to fall prevention and keeping you guys basically independent is tripping. Okay, so we're going to talk about strategies that we can do to prevent falls, which means to prevent trips, and then the maintaining of independence, because as we know, unfortunately, some falls can lead to some pretty bad outcomes. Okay, I don't want to be a negative person, talk about the negative things, but fall prevention is very important for that topic. Okay, so we're looking at here, it's why fall prevention matters. As you guys can see, 1 in 4 older adults falls annually, and some of them are okay. You know, I've had a lot of clients have falls, and they're not too serious, and I've had the ones that are pretty serious. Okay, luckily, like you guys can see, is 60% of the falls can be prevented. And in my opinion, 100% of people can improve their balance and their fall prevention techniques. So you do the best you can, and you keep working, and you keep tracking the techniques. You guys know we do those in class. And then also, as you guys implement what we're going to see here in the presentation, it's going to help you guys even more to help those prevent those falls, okay? First one, home safety, okay? What this means is we're looking at things we can do around the house to help us prevent, sort of incidents, as you would say. So the first one here is just remove tripping hazards. A big one is, you guys won't even see it on here, is shoes. Okay, so you take your shoes off, you leave them on the floor, you go, and then you trip on the floor, and you can slip. So it's being mindful, like putting your stuff away. It's kind of like being tidy and making sure there's not like objects on the floor. I have a joke with some of my clients, call it obstacle course, right? So you don't want to set up an obstacle course in your house where like moving around and like, try not to step and stepping over all of this stuff. So that kind of talks about clearing clutter. Another one's wires. Like if you plug your phone in, you leave the wire out hanging long, or computer charger or something, that ends up being something that you guys can trip over. So you want to make sure you have your wires tucked away. Okay. And then the other one is rugs. So with rugs, they have sort of those like Velcro attachments, you guys, so they should be secure to the floor. It's basically like anytime there's like a little raised step, like a little elevation. Another example of that is kind of like in door frames, or certain people have like small stairs in their house. These tend to be issues because you don't see them, or you don't do what? You don't pick your foot up and you kind of scuff the top, and that leads to this tripping and this stumbling. So be very mindful of anything that has like a raised sort of surface that you could possibly trip on. Okay. The other one, next one, improve lighting. So I'm sure your houses are well lit, but the issue is nighttime, okay, or in the dark. I have a saying is, don't look for things in the dark. I mean, both, mentally and physically. But what we want to do is you want to have night lights, most importantly in the bathroom, okay? Yeah, they got motion sensor detecting ones, like all these different things. But the issue is if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and you're walking through a dark hallway into a dark room, this becomes the issue. Right. So most people have nightlights in their bathroom. I recommend one in the hallway as well as you guys are going, so you're not just like stumbling around in the dark. I've had a few falls of people getting out of bed and then basically tripping in the dark. So if you have a clear space and you have some nightlights, the odds of you tripping at the night are pretty low. Okay. And then the last one is safety features. If you guys have a bathtub or you guys have a shower that you have to step into, make sure you have a non-slip mat in the shower. Those, the clear ones that kind of suck to the floor to make sure you guys aren't slipping. It's really, really important if you have to, especially if you have to lift your leg up and step in. That is when you will see these kind of like slips going on. Very important to have the non-slip mat. Okay. Also, if you guys want grab bars or handrails, things you guys can have around the house for up and down. Shower is usually a good one. Most showers will have a handle. If not, Amazon has attachable ones, right? Because the safest way to get into a shower or bathtub would be to hold on to the railing to step over onto the non-slip mat and then get in. Okay. I've seen some pretty bad bathroom falls. Okay. That's why that one's in there. Okay. Next one. Now, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are good at this. Are staying active and staying strong. First thing is regular movement. So I'm talking to people who came to an exercise class today. So you guys are already on top of this. That is amazing. Now you're talking about your daily life too. So you guys are walking, make sure you guys are doing your stretching, and then things like cleaning, gardening, going to the store, all that stuff counts as regular daily movement. That's really important just to keep, the muscles active, help improve circulation, make sure that you guys can keep up with your day-to-day stuff. How does that relate to fall prevention? Well, the thing is, it's people who are sedentary or sit a lot are a lot more what we call fall risk. Okay, so if you guys are staying active, your chances of falling actually go down. You will be exposed to more tripping hazards the more active you are, but if you have strength, you're going to be totally okay. Now, let's say you specifically wanted to work on balance or, strength, which is balance for strength. I'm your best bet for that. SeniorFit's guys' best bet for that. We have handouts, guys have stuff you can do at home. Single leg stand is a good one. Then you got your other things too. You guys know yoga is great, dancing, other forms of activity where you're working your balance is going to help. And I recommend you guys just practice at home, standing on one leg, heel toe, picking the feet up, like you guys know. Okay. And then in terms of like those two things working together is you want to do the best you can with what you got. So let's say you have a hard time standing on one leg. Well, then stand on one leg with a chair. And then also other way, let's say standing on one leg is easy for you. Then it's like, okay, stand on one leg with your leg out, or stand on one leg with like swinging your leg forward and backwards, make things a little bit more challenging for you. You want to just be kind of like consistently challenging your balance, right? And the way you can tell is, let's say you're doing a balance exercise and you don't move, you don't fall. There's no like, whoa, there's no moment of caution. It's not hard enough. Bump it up. Okay. You guys are doing good. All right. Next one. This is the most surprising one for me, actually, and probably for most as well, is managing your health. And in terms of your hearing. So as you guys can see on the slide, vision and hearing. Vision makes sense. Okay. You got bad eyes, you got cataracts, you don't get it done. You're obviously not going to see as well. Leads to a lot of tripping and eventually falls. So make sure you guys wear your glasses, wear your contacts, make sure you're getting your eyes checked. Most older adults I know are on top of that. The hearing, though, this is an interesting one. So inside your ear, there's a system called your vestibular system, and it's responsible for where your head is in position to your body. So if you guys remember the exercise where we're standing and we close our eyes, then we're going to start relying on our inner ear, it's called. And if it's poor, then you're going to have these these big movements and shaking. So much so that some people, when they're standing, they'll just kind of fall over to the right. That's usually the inner ear. Now, as some of us know, that has to do a lot with vertigo too. It tends to be a vestibular problem because your head doesn't know where it is, so it feels like it's going to be spinning. So make sure you guys are getting your ears checked. If you struggle with vertigo or dizziness, that's something that you guys can see prevent dizziness. That's something else you pay attention to as well. Make sure you have your ears checked. So it's actually shown that, this is kind of a side note, is wearing your hearing aids actually improves your balance. For that same reason, is because it helps your inner ear system kind of coordinate where your head is in relationship to your body. Okay. Next one. Everyone needs to write this down. Okay. It's not on the slide, but you're reviewing your medications. And what that means is you guys should have a list, a printed, like hard copy paper list of all the medications you take. And then when you go for annual checkups or exams, give the list to your doctor, okay? Don't try to remember the list and write it all down. Don't rely on their medical reports that they have in their computer, which might be 7 years old, right? Hand them the list and be like, can you see if any of these medications interact with each other? Another person to ask is your pharmacist, okay? And the reason you want to do that is the more medication you prescribe, the more likely that they will interact with each other and you'll get unwanted side effects. One of the dangerous ones being dizziness or fainting spells. Now, I don't mean to scare everyone, but it's like, it really is important if you guys are adding medication, or let's say your neurologist prescribes something that your heart doctor doesn't know about, make sure that you have a list so you can check for drug interactions so you're not getting extra side effects, okay? I've been dealing with this issue personally with one of my clients. It is a big, big deal. So make sure you guys have that. You guys are prepared for that. And then the last one is preventing dizziness. This is stuff we can do. Is anytime you go from sitting to standing, kind of check on your head, right? It's like, okay, sit up. Like, do you feel dizzy? If you feel dizzy, don't start walking immediately. Another one, going from lying down to sitting up. So if you're lying down, you sit up. If you sit up too fast, sometimes your head can be a little bit like, kind of off. It's an inner ear thing. It's also a blood pressure thing. Make sure you just pause for a moment. And this will kind of go into the next side of like pausing and paying attention, but is just kind of being mindful when you're getting up. Okay, I'm cool. Start walking. Getting up from bed. Okay, I'm cool. Let me keep going with my day. So you're just paying attention to how kind of like your dizziness level feels. All right, last one. So safe habits and use supports. As you guys can see, take your time. We'll touch on that in a second. But the first one is safe footwear. Okay, this kind of goes into safe habits. Also, it's kind of a form of support. What I mean by sturdy, non-ship shoes are shoes that have backs. So you want shoes that have backs, meaning like the back of the shoe. That's not a slipper. It's not a sandal. And the reason is that's going to help you pick your foot up more naturally. If you have a sandal, you have to use your toes to lift your foot, and you're more likely to scuff your feet sliding along. When you're scuffing your feet, you land on something, boom, you fall over, okay? Now you'll see this indoors and outdoors. I recommend you throw all your slippers out, okay? If you guys have slippers that have open toe and open backs, trash, throw them out. You know, those are dangerous. Wear shoes in the house. Now, if you don't like shoes in the house, like me, take your shoes off and go barefoot, okay? For the first time ever, I do recommend that we walk around barefoot in the house, okay? It's better for your feet. Most people, actually, their balance is slightly better when they have their shoes off. Now, there's a subsect of people who have foot pain or have neuropathy, and you guys would definitely still want to be wearing shoes, okay? And then if all else fails and you have neuropathy and you don't want to wear barefoot, you can get they're called grippy socks. You guys know those ones with the plastic on the bottom to give in the hospital. Those give you a little bit of support, give you a little bit of comfort, so help with the feet, but you won't slip, okay? Next one, assisted devices. I deal with this a lot. I know most of you guys forget, this doesn't really apply to you, but if you have a cane, you guys can use a cane, you guys can use a walker. Only use them when you're going for long distances or you're doing something that you know you're going to be walking and standing on. Do not walk around with a walker inside the house. I know a lot of people do because they're really scared, but it's like you got to eventually train yourself that you want to practice without a walker. Okay. And then another one that actually someone brought up is having a cart. So like you have these carts. So if you guys go shopping, you guys can put all the carts in there and you guys are kind of pushing the carts. The reason that is kind of a nice option is when you guys are carrying stuff, especially carrying stuff in both hands, that is an issue, right? So it's better to have a hand free so you guys can grab onto railings or grab onto things rather than carrying a bunch of stuff in both hands. Maybe you have to take more trips from the car. That's okay. That's better to be safe. Or if you have your little cart, you throw everything in the cart, you push it into the house. Boom. I thought that was a great idea. Even I might start doing that. All right. And then the last one, take your time. Most trips can be prevented by paying attention. And it's like, oh my God, I got to pay attention all the time. It's like, well, here's what you focus on. Heel, toe, bend the knee when you walk. Because when you step with your heel, you're naturally picking your foot up. If you're naturally picking your foot up, you're going to avoid those little edges, right? You're going to be more mindful of the area around you in the sense that, like, if you hit something with your heel, it's going to help you balance. Whereas you hit it with your toe from scuffing, that's going to lead to a lot more forward momentum. So it is heel, toe, bend the knee, okay? That helps when you're walking the most. When you're in an environment that's new, restaurant, walking on the street, pay attention to curbs, cracks in the sidewalk, objects on the floor. So it's good to just, have an awareness. You're walking your dog, you're not paying attention, you're looking around, hit a crack, boom. Dang it, I wish I wouldn't have done that. So you want to be mindful of your surroundings as you're doing things that are a little bit more active. Okay, hold on to railings, we talked about that. Carry on safely, we talked about that. So it's just a matter of like making sure you guys feel safe. And maybe your balance is amazing. You guys are walking around, woo, and you still, trust me, you want to pay attention to your surroundings and you still want to practice these principles. Because as we age and go forward, these things become more and more important. So it's good to build good habits now rather than wait till you're like, I'm a fall risk and I'm scared all the time to start doing this kind of stuff. So definitely start to do it now. So that's it for today. Kind of the core takeaways, right? Home safety, active lifestyle, health management, really make that medication list. That's super important. That could be one of the most important things. And then lastly, keep going to class, keep working the fall prevention programs, keep practicing your balance. It's only going to help you guys more and more. And if you really, 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 really just want to focus on one thing and one thing else, it's heel, toe, bend the knee when you walk. That will literally prevent most trips. Okay, so thank you guys so much. Next month is mental health, okay? Now, it's not going to be like, sitting down with the psychology and talking about stuff. It's really just ways to, like it says right here, improve your mood, balance stress, and help you guys feel connected, because that's going to be the biggest source that will help guys' mental health, is making sure that we feel connected with community, friends, family, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So thank you guys so much. Looking forward to next month.